You know what I've realized? Some people think that having standards means building a fortress around yourself, that protecting your heart means never letting anyone in, but that's not boundaries, that's fear. And fear is not love. Boundaries are not about keeping people out, they're about keeping yourself in. They're about making sure you don't lose your joy, your values, your self-respect while you let people into your life. Think about it. If you never open the gate, yes, no one will hurt you, but no one will love you either. Boundaries don't have to be walls, they can be doors. Doors with locks you control. You decide who comes in, how far they go, and when it's time for them to leave. When you know your boundaries, you don't have to shout them, you just live them, and the right people, they don't get scared away by them. They respect them. You know, so many people hear the word boundaries and instantly think of walls, coldness, distance, and rejection. They imagine that setting boundaries means pushing everyone away, that it's some kind of declaration that you don't need anybody, and because of that, they avoid setting them altogether. They keep saying yes when they mean no. They keep making space for people who take advantage. They keep lowering their standards just to keep someone close. But boundaries don't protect your loneliness, they protect your self-respect. They are not about isolation, they are about preservation. When you have boundaries, you're telling the world, this is what I need in order to feel valued, this is what I require to feel safe, this is how I expect to be treated. And the moment you compromise those things, you're not keeping people close, you're keeping yourself small. Think about the times you've let someone cross a line, just to avoid conflict, just to keep the peace, just to stop them from leaving. In the moment, it feels like you're saving the relationship, but what you're really doing is abandoning yourself. You're showing them that your feelings are negotiable, that your needs come second, and that your worth is conditional. And once someone sees that, it's hard for them to treat you any differently. Boundaries are not punishments, they're guidelines for healthy interaction. They're not there to trap you in loneliness. They're there to ensure that the people who stay in your life are there for the right reasons. When you set a boundary, you filter out those who are only interested in taking, and you create space for those who know how to give. You find out very quickly who respects you and who just wants to use you. Some people will leave when you set boundaries, and that's not something to fear. That's something to be grateful for, because anyone who disappears when you start respecting yourself wasn't here for the real you anyway. They were here for the version of you that made them comfortable at the cost of your own comfort. And here's the thing, the people who matter, the people who truly care about you, they won't be scared off by your boundaries. They'll appreciate them. They'll see them as a sign of self-awareness, of clarity, of strength. Because boundaries make relationships safer, more predictable, more respectful. They stop resentment from building up. They stop misunderstandings from spiraling out of control, and they keep both people honest about what they can give and what they can't. Boundaries are not made of concrete. They're not meant to shut everyone out. They're more like doors with locks. You choose when to open the door, you choose who gets to come in, you choose how close they get, and you choose when it's time for them to leave. That's not isolation, that's control. And that control isn't about power over others, it's about power over yourself. Without boundaries, you lose your shape in relationships. You bend until you don't recognize yourself. You give until you have nothing left. And eventually, you wake up resenting the very people you worked so hard to please. Boundaries stop that from happening. They let you give without losing yourself, love without abandoning yourself, and connect without compromising your deepest needs. People hear the word boundaries and instantly think of shutting people out. They picture these high, cold walls that no one can climb over, and they think that's what self-protection looks like. But the truth is, boundaries are not walls. They are doors, and you hold the key. A wall keeps everyone out, good or bad, friend or stranger, love or opportunity. You might feel safe behind it, but you also feel alone. A door, though, is different. A door says, I decide who comes in. I decide how far they go. I decide when it's time for them to leave. And that's the power boundaries give you. When you live without boundaries, you leave the door wide open. Anyone can walk in, anyone can take from you, anyone can leave a mess for you to clean up. And over time, you start to feel drained, resentful, and used. Not because you're a bad person, but because you've allowed access without limits. Having a door doesn't mean you slam it in people's faces. It doesn't mean you stop letting people in. It means you're intentional about who you open it for. It means you're paying attention to how people treat the space they're given. It means you have the right to close it again if someone shows they don't value the privilege of being inside. Think about the people who bring light into your life, the ones who lift you up, who respect your time, who make you feel safe and valued. Those are the people you keep the door open for. You don't have to make them guess whether they're welcome. You invite them in. You make space for them. You let them know they matter. But when someone brings chaos, when they repeatedly cross your lines, when they show you through their actions that they don't respect your time, your energy, or your heart, that's when you quietly turn the key. Not to punish them, not to hurt them, but to protect yourself. Boundaries as doors give you flexibility. You can open wider for the people who earn trust over time, and you can keep things partially closed for those you're still getting to know. You can limit access without cutting off connection completely. It's not all or nothing. It's measured, it's thoughtful, it's controlled by you, and the beauty of a door is it works both ways. It allows people in, but it also allows you out. You can step away from situations that drain you. You can walk into new opportunities without dragging everyone from the past with you. You get to move freely without being trapped in a fortress of fear. When you treat your boundaries like a door instead of a wall, you start to see relationships differently. You're no longer scared of connection because you know you have control over how close someone can get. You're no longer afraid of getting hurt because you know you can step back the moment you feel unsafe. You realize that your life is not an open house for anyone to wander into. It's a home, and not everyone gets a key. That's the shift, not shutting the world out, but letting the right world in. It's easy to talk about boundaries. It's easy to post about them, to make speeches about them, to tell people, this is what I expect. This is what I won't accept. But the real power, the kind that changes your life, doesn't come from announcing your boundaries. It comes from living them. When you announce a boundary but don't enforce it, people learn very quickly that your words are negotiable. They see that your lines can be crossed without consequence, and before you know it, you've trained them to ignore your boundaries altogether. Living your boundaries means you don't just say, I won't tolerate disrespect. You actually walk away the moment someone shows you disrespect. It means you don't just say, I need time for myself. You actually make that time, even if someone pressures you to do otherwise. It means you don't just talk about self-worth. You behave in ways that reflect it, in every interaction, in every decision. You see, boundaries aren't truly about what you say to other people. They're about what you do when those boundaries are tested. It's in your actions, not your declarations, that people learn how to treat you. If you keep telling someone, I won't put up with this, but you keep staying, you're not teaching them respect, you're teaching them they can get away with it. When you live your boundaries, you don't need to over-explain, you don't need to convince anyone, you don't need to repeat yourself. Your choices speak for you. If someone crosses the line, you quietly remove access. If someone shows they can't meet your standard, you stop giving them the privilege of your time. You act instead of just talking. Living your boundaries also changes how you see yourself, because every time you choose action over excuses, you prove to yourself that your needs matter. You stop feeling guilty for protecting your energy, and you start feeling proud for honoring it. That self-respect builds, and it becomes a natural part of how you move in the world. The people around you feel it too. They may not even hear you talk about your boundaries, but they can sense them in the way you carry yourself, in the way you respond to situations, in the way you no longer participate in things that drain you. They start to realize this person has standards, and they live by them. And here's the beauty of it. Living your boundaries doesn't require you to be loud or confrontational or dramatic. It's not about making a scene, it's about making a decision. You can be calm, kind, and still unshakable in what you allow. Because in the end, announcing your boundaries might get someone's attention, but living them earns their respect. And more importantly, it earns your own. The moment you raise your standards, you're going to notice something. Some people will push back, some will challenge you, some will even try to make you feel guilty for wanting more. And in that moment, you might be tempted to lower them again, to keep the peace, to avoid conflict, to make sure no one walks away. But here's the truth. The right people will respect your standards, not resist them. The people who belong in your life won't see your standards as a threat. They'll see them as a reflection of your worth. They'll see them as an opportunity to show you they can meet you there. When someone resists your standards, it's usually because they don't want to rise to them. They want access without effort, benefits without commitment, closeness without responsibility, and when you say, "This is the level of behavior I accept," it forces them to either step up or step out. Those who step out were never willing to give you what you deserve in the first place. You have to remember, people who care about you don't get scared away by respect. They don't feel threatened when you ask for honesty, loyalty, consistency, or kindness. They don't roll their eyes when you speak up about what matters to you. They lean in because your standards make the relationship stronger. The right people actually feel safer when you have standards. It tells them you're clear about who you are, you're clear about what you value, and you're not willing to settle for less. And that kind of clarity attracts people who live the same way. It attracts people who are also done with games, done with half-effort, done with relationships where one person gives and the other just takes. When you meet someone who respects your standards, you'll notice the difference instantly. They won't test you just to see what they can get away with. They won't try to make you doubt yourself. Instead, they'll listen when you speak, they'll honor the boundaries you set, and they'll appreciate that you're the kind of person who values both of you enough to set them. But here's the part most people don't talk about. When you keep your standards high, you will lose some people. Not because you're asking for too much, but because they were never ready to give even the bare minimum. Let them go. Every time someone walks away because of your standards, you make space for someone who won't. And that's how you stop wasting time on the wrong ones. You can't force the wrong person to respect your standards. You can't convince them to treat you better. You can't beg someone into valuing you. You show them the level of treatment you accept, and if they resist it, you let them leave, because the right person will not need to be convinced. They'll see your standards, and instead of resisting, they'll rise, and that's the difference. The wrong ones will see your standards as a barrier. The right ones will see them as a doorway, and they'll walk through it, not because they have to, but because they want to. So in the end, it's simple. Your boundaries are not walls, they are doors you control. They protect your self-respect, not your loneliness. They don't shut out love, they filter it. They don't scare away the right people, they guide them closer. And when you live your boundaries instead of just announcing them, when you hold steady in your standards even when it's tempting to bend, you discover something powerful. The people who truly belong in your life will not resist your standards. They will respect them, they will respect you. So stop lowering your worth just to keep someone around. Stop opening the door for people who only take. And stop apologizing for expecting what you deserve. Because the moment you do, you make room for the kind of love, the kind of friendships, the kind of life that was always meant for you. If this spoke to you, if something in these words made you stop and think, tap that like button so more people can hear this message. Subscribe if you want more reminders to protect your heart without closing it. And in the comments, tell me your thoughts, tell me what boundaries you've been afraid to set, and what you're going to do about it today. Because your story might be the exact thing someone else needs to hear.